Leeds.
Hello, welcome back to Imagine Not Being Leeds. 1st of December, we're almost there, guys. Christmas is coming, can't wait for it. So yeah, the morning after, the day before, 1-0 loss away at Blackburn. Not good. Gutted, as I'm sure you all are, and yeah, many reasons. Went through the subscriber stream last night, many reasons as to why we lost that game, and Blackburn deserved it despite all the possession. But this video, I just want to talk about, not that any of this really lies at the door. The blame doesn't lie at the door of Brendan Aaronson for yesterday's result entirely. It's something that's been on my mind and a topic I've spoke about for a number of weeks now on various channels, etc. And can we get more from that 10 role? You know, we're changing it around and maybe bringing Brendan out. Yesterday, there's an argument to say, you know, you could have brought Brendan out and maybe brought a Gilavogi in to you know, more of a free midfield to try and pack that midfield out and try and match Blackburn man for man in that space, in that area. But I feel like we just keep churning out Brendan Aaronson regardless of the tactics and the formation of other sides. And I think yesterday it was a game where you could have possibly took him out. He don't get rotated too much. He tends to play majority of minutes every game, and you know, we saw last season you can't do that. You know, come the end of the season, legs are tired, and we dropped a lot of points at the back end for not rotating. So you know, when you look at Somerville and Rutter last year, there wasn't much rotation there at all, and you know, it showed towards back end, towards that last month or two, it really showed. And I think he's getting his rotation right now at the minute. Yeah, like yesterday it didn't work. Yesterday there were you know, a number of reasons hence why we lost that game. But I do think Brendan Aaronson potentially now is at a position where he needs to come out. He's not playing awful, but I feel like last few performances, even when we've won, his decision making's really becoming apparent at the minute that it's not where it needs to be at this level. And around, you know, the people he's playing up top with, he stands out for his decision making. You know, Dan James a few years ago, something similar. Taking yesterday out of account, you know, a lot of these players are performing, and Brendan, for me, sticking out, like I say, as the weakest of that front four. And I just think it's something where we could elevate our performance if we just change it up a little bit. And we'll talk about January and what I think we need to do in January. But I think there needs to be a discussion now where, you know, Nonto, James, potentially Solomon, you know, these are going to be starters now. Ramazani is back to fitness now. These wingers we've got 4 wingers: Ramazani, Solomon, Nonto, and James. And there's an argument now that we need to try and get as many of them playing as possible, because this last, you know, take Blackburn out of account, these last few performances beforehand, you know, they've all sort of stepped up and look good. And Ramazan is obviously coming back now. Didn't do much yesterday as a second half substitute. No, that's right, he didn't. But we know his qualities and we know what he's going to bring. Now he's getting close to fitness, and is there an argument that one of these could potentially play in that 10 role and do a better job than Brendan? I think there is. And I know a lot of people are saying Brendan's press, Brendan's work off the ball, and I understand that. But there's nothing saying, you know, it's going to affect us that bad. Is it going to be detrimental to Leeds just because Brendan's not playing? I don't think so. Last season we didn't have a pressing number 10. We didn't have a number 10 who run all day in terms of off the ball. And you know, we had a flair player, Jorginho. He was a star man for the majority of last season. And did it affect us that he weren't a great, you know, like a great presser? That, yeah, it worked hard. And you know, like I say, it was our top performer last year. Georgie definitely one of them. And if we'd have had Jorginho this season, if he'd have never gone to Brighton, as we didn't want him to, would Brendan have even seen much at pitch? I would have said not. We'd have picked Rutter over Aaronson every day of the week, wouldn't we? So that for me, that number 10 needs to be like a lock picker. He needs to be someone who can create something out of nothing. Someone who can, you know, crash into a box around edge at box and bury chances, create chances, and he's just not that number 10 for me. And like I say, I know he works hard off a ball. I know there's a lot more to Brendan's game than goals and assists. And you know what I mean? To be fair, he's got 4 goals this season. I think he's got an assist as well, or a couple of assists. That output from him hasn't been too bad. In some aspects and in some games, he's done better than I expected him to do coming back. Even with the drop in quality in terms of the league from when we last had him, I don't think he's playing too bad at all. But for me, the players around him are a higher quality, and I think he stands out as the one out of that front 3, front 4 who maybe needs to come out and see what we can do. You know, with a different style in there. And I'd really like to look at a Ramazani or a Solomon playing in there. You know, I've said in previous weeks, Nonto. But after seeing Ramazani at the back end of the Luton game and Solomon's form on that left-hand side, albeit the Blackburn game, I think there's a conversation to be had that Aaronson comes out for a bit. You know, I really do. And if it affects us negatively, then, you know, fair enough, he can put him back in and hopefully you see a reaction like we've had out of other players this season when they've been taken out the squad and rotated. They come, you know, they get a chance and they come back and they tend to make it their own again, don't they? So I'd like to see that. I'd like Brendan to know he isn't a shoo-in for that position like so far he has been. He's sort of the only one really who hasn't got anyone breathing down his neck to take that spot. And I think that's starting to show. I feel like he's not getting much pressure from any angle really that it's going to lose that shirt. But when you look at it, yeah, we've got abundance of wingers. But James is the only out-and-out winger for me. He is the one you look at and go, yeah, he's a winger. You couldn't put Dan James in 10. I mean, you could. He's played up front. It's not something they'll do, though. It's not his game. You don't want to be playing, you know, doing that square pegs, round holes. But for me, someone like a Solomon and Nonto or even a Ramazani, I don't know if that is square pegs in round holes. I'm not too sure. You know, I do think they've got that in the game. We see Solomon come inside quite a lot. We saw a couple of his goals the other week against Swansea, where he comes into the box and he's a threat in central areas. Ramazani, 100%, 1,000,000% he could play at 10. Are you taking a lot away from his game though, being in more of a congested area at pitch rather than being out wide 1-on-1 with a right back? Yeah, maybe you are. Maybe he's better on left. There's no denying that. Nonto's probably the obvious one for me. I do feel like he probably suits being more central. We've seen it for Italy under 21s. We haven't seen it as much for Leeds as I'd wanted, to be fair. But we know when he's playing on the right or the left for Leeds, he does like to come inside and have that free roam. And Nonto, I think Nonto's best position would be a 10, but there's no real proof or evidence to back that up. But when you look at all three, and when you look at the form that all three, you know, have been in at stages this season, there's an argument to say, you know, and James, if 4 wingers there, 4 into 2 don't go, but 4 into 3 goes a little bit better, doesn't it? So I'm sort of at that point now where Brendan's not done anything horrendous. No, he hasn't. But maybe it's time to change it up now and just see what we get from a more productive 10 with the ball than what we get with Brendan. Because like I say, he's got 4 goals. Like I say, it's not to be sniffed at. When you compare him to Jorginho Rutter in terms of goals, I think he's not close already to the goals scored. But what Rutter will give you in terms of, you know, bypassing a press, getting the ball and driving us up the field and being strong and physical with the ball, I like that. I think you can get that from a Nonto. I really do. And you're going to get assists. And I think from a Nonto, he'll give you that as well. And I'd just like to see, you know, why are we so reliant on Brendan Aaronson? You know, so many people are telling me that you can't take him out of the team. You lose so much. Why do we though? We're going about this press with Leeds United. We have the ball for 65-70% of the game. Is he that important? Tell me in chat. I'd love to know. Yeah, I know what he does. I'm not daft. You know what I mean? I'm no professor of football. No, I'm no tactician. But you can't tell me you can't get even if it's a drop off in the press by 15%. But if you're getting an output which is 50% more, are you not gaining in that role? Can you not play James on right and impress? Can you not play Joseph up top and let him do the pressing? Press as a unit. You can't tell me Brendan Aaronson's the only reason why Leeds are a good are good when this triggers and the press. You can't tell me he's the only reason. It's his strongest part of his game, yeah, and he was one of the best in Europe before he come to Leeds, and that's why we looked at him. That's why Marcelo loved him. And if Marcelo loves anybody, then he's right for me. But is it time we just look at a different option in there just to see? I just want to see for my own peace of mind if without him does it all fall apart? I don't believe so. And I'd really love to see what we can do with a Solomon, a Nonto, or a Ramazani in there. And I just feel like if he comes out for any reason, a knock, rotation, or just like I say, we'll try something new. I do feel like some of these players I've mentioned will elevate that role, and I don't think it's going to look. I don't think we're going to look as bad off the ball as people think. I really don't. And I'm not diminishing what Brendan does, because he's brilliant at what he does, and he's had some games this season where he's been absolutely brilliant, and I'm made up for him that he's come back to Leeds and forced his way into that position. Yeah, I mean, we wanted a 10 in January, in the summer. Yes, we probably didn't want Rowe to go at one point, but he's got that position now, and he's been in there now 17 games, and no one's come close to dislodging it yet. I reckon this is now his first bit of adversity. I feel like this is the first time this season the fans have sort of looked at Brendan and gone, I'm not too sure now. I feel like he's been okay, up to now. But 1st of December today, January's 4 weeks away. It's a big month for Brendan Aaronson for me. Because do I think he's going to drop him, rotate him? Do I think he's going to probably get a knock at the minute? No, I don't. I think he's going to keep that position for now. But he needs a good couple of performances in the these next few games. Derby and Middlesbrough, both home games. We should see a lot of the ball. He needs some good performances here, because with Ramazani being almost fully fit, Solomon's hitting some sort of form, and Nonto and James just doing Nonto and James things other than the Blackburn game, granted. He's going to get left behind for me. And when Farker looks at it, or when Farker's forced to look at someone else at 10, I think it could really revolutionise our attack. And in these games where we're winning 2 and 3-0, and people are saying we're getting in front of a controlling game, some people are giving it the boring tag. I'm not saying that's because of Brendan at all. It's really not. But maybe having 3 of those 4 wingers or 4 attacking options in that I spoke about is really going to, take that handbrake off, and you're really going to see some really attacking, flowing football when you take Brendan out of there. Because with ball at feet, the 4 wingers I've mentioned, like I say, I think 3 of them can play in that 10. They're all technically better footballers than Brendan Aaronson, 100%. And this isn't digging Brendan out, because like I say, I think he's had a good season. I just feel like is the key to Leeds United's success in that 10 role. Is it taking Brendan out, or is it looking in January at bringing someone in? And I've seen a lot of people wax lyrical about Brendan Aaronson, saying that he needs to stay in there and he's good at this and that, and that's fair. I see the point, but that these people also think we should get a 10 in January, and I don't think it's get a 10 to rival Brendan. I think a lot of these people believe we need to go get a 10 of Premier League quality to replace Brendan, and maybe Brendan becomes that option off the bench. I'd love to see that happen. I would. I don't think that's going to happen, if I'm honest, because like I say, I think they're happy with Brendan, and I do think this cover for Brendan from one of these wingers. I'd love to, for us to go get a James McAtee, someone of that ilk. There's been a few other players mentioned. I don't see Leeds doing much business in January, really. I think there'll be a few people go. I think Joffrey might go out on loan, and if Joffrey does go out on loan, being an attacking player, someone who plays in that 10 sometimes as well. In the past, I'd like to see him go get a starting 10 at a Premier League loan to replace that body, but not in the like-for-like mould of a Joffrey. I'd like him to go get someone who can play first team minutes and elevate that bench even more than what it already is, and really push Brendan for a start. And I think a loan of a youngish Premier League player would definitely do that. That'd be someone I'd be definitely looking at, with someone like a James McAtee. And yeah, it's a position that definitely needs filling for Premier League if and when we get there. I always say, well, when we get there. After yesterday, people are freaking out, and I understand the away form shocking. But Brendan isn't someone who can do it for us in the Premier League, I don't think. This level is fine. I think if we don't bring anybody in, and Brendan played all season, I don't think it'll affect us beyond you know, the odd away performance, the odd game, the odd spell like everyone's going to have. I don't think we're going to turn around in the season and not go up anyway, let alone for it being Brendan Hammond's fault. I don't see that. But I think when we go up, for me, in the starting 10 in Premier League, so January is a strange month really for Leeds. You know, do they go out and make a statement signing and go for someone they really believe can make that step up to Premier League and sign somebody? I don't see it. Be a lot of money. And how do you persuade somebody who's of Premier League level and wants to stay there, that drop down to the Championship for Leeds United, is a worthwhile move right now? I ain't too sure on that one. Especially when, you know, at the minute we're third, if we're not top and clear, you're going to lose out potentially to some of these players who were willing to drop down to one of the top sides or in all positions. We saw that last year with players going to Ipswich and, you know, a couple at Southampton who maybe looked in a stronger position than Leeds at that time of year. And I'm not too sure. So I think it's something to look at in January. Is it something they'll do? We'll have to see. I mean, Brendan, like I said, December's a massive month for Brendan now. He can't let. I think his form slipped a little bit. I don't think he can fall too much into a rut because, like I say, I don't think any of them can. You know, coming in January, 49ers need to be ruthless for me. And there's some positions that you look at and go, you know, especially the 10, sorry, and looking at the 9 now, they need to be ruthless and go out there and fill, you know, get more quality in and around those positions if they're not 100% certain that they've got the right profiles and the right players in those roles. And they're the two positions at the minute currently where I feel like we're starting to look a little bit vulnerable. This is the first time I've looked at players and gone, I'm not too sure now. I've always been a Matteo Joseph fan. Now I'm not too sure if he's going to cut it. I feel like he's lost his head a little bit. Pirro, we know he's a brilliant goal scorer, but we also know he goes through patches, and when he's not playing well, he struggles to get in game. We saw that yesterday. Although I think he's playing better this season than last season, I'm still not sure. And if Joseph ain't doing it, I mean, seeing Bamford come off bench yesterday, that shocked me. In front of Joseph, and that'll shock Joseph. We need a reaction from him because we can't just rely on Pirro. That's for certain. And then obviously the Aaronson talk. There's no one really pushing him as it stands. So I'd like to see a massive change in that 10. And Joseph really needs to start pushing Pirro now as well because he's fallen away. But yeah, let me know in chat what you think, guys. That's me done for this video. And yeah, take care. Have a good one. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Yeah, and please like. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.